Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Skate Podcast Status Report. This is our new segment of talking about movie news and trailers as they drop, just something to kind of fill in when things happen between episodes and we don't want to wait too long to get it out to you guys. This is going to be a lot shorter than most episodes, probably, what would you say, Brandon, 10, 15, 20 minutes max?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so today we are planning on talking about three things. We're going to talk about the new Thor trailer, Ragnarok, some news about the new Star Wars movie concerning Carrie Fisher, and the new Star Wars The Last Jedi trailer. That's on the agenda today.
So first up is the Thor trailer, which just
Correct.
dropped earlier this week.
Right.
We just both rewatched it and took some notes. What did you think of the Thor trailer?
You know, it looks interesting to me, and that's saying a lot because, I've kind of lost a lot of interest for the Marvel movies. Again, never said I was done with them or that anything like that. I intend to eventually get around to them, but just kind of lost a little steam on wanting to see them right away. This movie looks interesting to me. What I found kind of interesting, if you look at like the Thor movies, the two that already are out, it has that certain look, almost Lord of the Rings-esque, like very, swords and shields and all that kind of stuff, almost like an old school look to them. And then when you got to Guardians, it's almost like it reminds me of the Star Wars prequels meets The Fifth Element. And I even thought it was weird in which movie was it where the after credits you see Thor's like what's his little like his group, there's the girl and there's a couple guys.
The Warriors 3.
Okay. Like when they go to the collector guy to like hand off whatever, I thought they looked out of place in his shop because it looks so, it looks weird. And that's what I noticed in this trailer right away. I was like, it almost looks weird to see Thor, like you see, the Asgard city and like all the people there. And then you'll see like these really bright, colorful Star Wars-esque, people. It's like that weird blend. It almost seems strange to see them together to me.
That's something I heard that they kind of wanted to do for this one was, Asgard is out in space.
Right.
And a lot of Thor stuff takes place in outer space or different realms.
Right.
And they kind of wanted to get away from Earth a little bit and explore the galaxy a little bit more. I think partially due to the success of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
And it looks really interesting. It looks good. From everything I've heard about this movie, I was thinking that it has the chance to be the best Thor movie, maybe even one of the better Marvel movies in general. And when I saw this trailer, I got pretty pumped up for it. I watched it a few times. One of the things that caught me right away was the use of the Led Zeppelin song, Immigrant Song. It's a little bit different.
You would think that would be used in Iron Man, if anything.
Yeah, he has a lot of like metal stuff in his trailers and movies, but a lot of the Marvel movies use a lot of orchestrated stuff and don't tend to use too many like pop culture songs, except for Guardians of the Galaxy, which I think had a huge influence on this movie. And I'm thinking, that's why they chose to do that. Also, the song mentions Hammer of the God and all sorts of stuff. I know that it's notoriously difficult to get Led Zeppelin for use in your movie soundtrack.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had, if you watch like the special features on School of Rock, Jack Black talks about how he was able to use the Immigrant Song for his movie. Basically, they had to make their own little music video and send it to Led Zeppelin and get beg for their permission, basically. Please let us use the song.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting. Yeah, the trailer's super exciting. Do we want to break it down a little?
Sure. Real quick. So is that Cate Blanchett in the antler? Is she the woman with the antler things?
Yes. Speaking of Lord of the Rings, Cate Blanchett is Hela,
yes. Yeah.
The main villain for this movie.
Okay. I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
I was just going to start from the beginning, but that's a good spot. Like it starts off with him coming down in the chains, and if you don't know where he's at, I'm guessing that's Hel, Hel, where Hela is supposed to be like the ruler of this realm. And it's kind of like an afterlife, and she does something with the souls. I'm not exactly sure how it works. Did
you notice the rocks around them have almost like demon faces, like the eyes and the mouth are like lit up like orange, like they almost remind me of Zool heads, but smaller, and they're like in the stone. Did you notice that?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So he's probably in hell at that point for
Yeah.
whatever reason. Somehow she's gonna escape that realm and come and destroy Asgard is what it looks like. And they talk about her. She mentions that Asgard is dead.
Yeah.
I want to mention her look real quick. I've known that Hela is kind of a crazy looking character in the comics, like with her headpiece and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where when you sit and think about it, like how are they going to pull that look off in real life, or are they just going to kind of do their own thing? And when you first see her, she doesn't have that piece on. Like she has an outfit, but it's kind of like tattered.
Yeah.
And you see her with the black hair, and she still looks cool like that. But when they actually show her with her headpiece on, I think she actually looks pretty sweet, and I think they did a good job.
Speaking of headpieces, real quick, I had noticed that for Thor, he only wears his typical his helmet in the first movie of his. You never see it in Thor 2 nor Avengers or Avengers 2. This is, as far as it's a little different look, but it's the first time they brought it back since his initial movie.
Yeah, they gave him. It looks a lot more like a piece of technology than just a helmet.
Yeah.
Or maybe like a gladiator.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, there definitely looks like there's a gladiator inspiration here.
Yeah, and that's towards the end of the trailer. We see what looks like to me what happens is she escapes hell, destroys Asgard, scatters everybody, and sends Thor to that planet where he's going to have to do some kind of battle. And he runs into Valkyrie. I don't know if you knew who that character was.
Not real well, no.
I guess the actress, I don't know much about her. Her name is Tessa Thompson. And she's the one that brings Thor to Jeff Goldblum's character, the Grand Master.
Okay.
From what I read, I think she's supposed to be kind of like on par with Thor as far as her fighting ability. We see a bunch of ships exploding. Did you see Carl Urban?
Yes, with the two like AK-47s or something. Or
yeah, speaking of being out of place, that's just so funny that he's like holding these machine guns.
Well, I was watching a trailer analysis, and they were saying that they think it's supposed to be this like junkyard area where different stuff ends up from all over the galaxy. Now, how two guns from our world would have ended up there, I don't know. But
I know that character is supposed to be like a master of all sorts of weapons.
Okay.
He's actually, I don't know a whole lot about the character. I was never super into Thor comics. I just know basically stuff I've read off of Wikipedia or from watching cartoons. But that character, I believe, is tied to another villain called the Enchantress.
Okay.
And he's kind of like her lackey. So I'm wondering if she'll make an appearance as well. But they just show a real quick glimpse of Carl Urban as Scourge is the name of the character.
Right. It wouldn't surprise me because Marvel seems to want to shove as many characters into these movies as possible now.
This one in particular seems like it's going to be heavier on the bad guy side. We also got a shot of Idris Elba out in the woods fighting.
Yes.
And he wasn't wearing his Asgard uniform or anything. He looked kind of wild. Like, if Asgard did get destroyed, maybe
he had to run away and kind of fend for himself.
Yeah, like he's just surviving somewhere.
Right, yeah.
And then we get a shot of Loki, too, with a bunch of people behind him, almost like he has his own little army and he's getting ready to fight somebody.
Yeah, the Thor movies, they were just okay. I didn't love them. This one looks like it has the potential to be pretty good. I hope it is. But yeah, even Thor 2, that one was just okay to me. I don't even know I don't know. They just didn't quite do it as much for me.
Yeah.
And that was even when I wasn't burnt out.
The Thor movies so far have been mostly just adequate. I think I enjoyed the second one more than the first.
Okay.
But we don't want to make these too long, so let's see. I want to get to 2 more points about this, and then we can move on to some Star Wars stuff. First one to be the villain. One of the problems that a lot of people have with the Marvel movies, even though generally they're well received, is that the villains tend to be a little bit on the weaker side.
Okay.
And I know this one actually, I think, is slated to be filled with all sorts of villains, not just Hela. And we can see, right from the beginning of the trailer, when she grabs his hammer, nobody's been able to do that. And she's sitting there holding it and forces it to explode.
Well, outside of Vision was able to pick it up, and Captain America was able to nudge it slightly.
Yeah, you can tell right away that, she's not a light villain. She's going to be bad news. So, I think that's kind of cool. Did
you notice that looked like that scene took place in an alley or something? It looks like it's on Earth to me.
It might be in, well,
if you look at the walls, they look like they're brick, and when they show the big explosion, it just looks like they're somewhere some alleyway somewhere in New York or something.
I will have to rewatch it. I think I assumed that was somewhere on Asgard.
Yeah, it could be. It looked like Earth to me. I don't know,
I know
or
part
something like
is,
Earth.
even though they said they kind of want to get away from Earth, I know part of it is going to take place on Earth.
Yeah.
And then, probably the biggest part about the trailer, biggest, no pun intended, it's the Hulk reveal.
Mm-hmm.
And them kind of doing a small piece of Planet Hulk here.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of questions I have. Like, I'm, interested, okay, like, how do they, exactly capture Thor? How do they get Hulk there? Why does Hulk not just go on a rampage and just leave? Like, why does he basically allow himself to be, become a gladiator? Why is he willing to put up with that? Is it just the love of fighting and the love of, whatever?
I'm sure those are questions that they'll answer. One thing I can say is I know Planet Hulk was a storyline in the comics.
Right.
And it led to another one called World War Hulk.
Yeah.
It's different in the comics than it is here, obviously, because they don't have use of all the characters needed and everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a cartoon version movie of Planet Hulk, which is a lot closer to the comics. And I've seen that. It might still be on Netflix. I believe it was on Netflix for a while. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's kind of neat.
Okay.
But what happens basically in the comics and in this cartoon movie is there's a group called the Illuminati. It's like Reed Richards, Professor X, Black Panther, I think. Just these top guys that kind of get together and they have their own secret discussions about things that are going on. And they deem the Hulk to be too dangerous to have on Earth anymore. So they shoot him out into space. I forget exactly how they were able to do that, but he ends up landing on this planet called Sakaar. Once he gets there, it's like a battle planet, or they have this big arena and they have all these battles going on, much like Gladiator. And what happens is they slap some kind of collar on everybody that forces them to kind of obey. And even though the Hulk is still the Hulk, he's a little bit weaker, and he's not in full control of himself as long as that collar is on him. So
doesn't it keep him as the Hulk?
Well, at that point in the comics, he's already kind of stuck as the Hulk. Like Bruce Banner is either gone or the Hulk and Bruce Banner have come to some kind of agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Hulk might be slightly more intelligent, so that might be Bruce Banner still in there somewhere. But anyway, so he battles on this planet, and he becomes their champion, and he ends up like taking over the planet.
Yeah.
So I'm sure some of that is going to be in this movie. Like maybe he's got something on them. I don't know how he got out there because last we saw of him was from
Avengers 2. Yep.
Yeah, flying off.
He was in that little jet. Yeah.
And I think they said that they found the jet underwater somewhere. So I don't know if it's going to be like a thing with Guardians of the Galaxy where he gets abducted or what.
Yeah. Yeah, like I thought, I'm going to be honest, I thought it kind of looked a little weird to see him with armor and weapons because I kind of feel like Hulk wouldn't need that. And I thought, like, why even bother? Like, it just looked silly to me a little bit. I thought Hulk doesn't need that stuff.
You're right, he probably doesn't, but I think it looks cool. Just for its own cheesy factor.
Especially the hat. Like, I don't know, was that a Centurion or what is that kind of hat like with the brush? Like, I thought, like, of all things, he doesn't need is that, but
yeah, it might sound a little silly to have that stuff on him, but I think I enjoy just seeing him dressed up like that or holding on to the two giant.
Yeah, it definitely puts him in. It makes him look different because obviously he basically looks the same in both Avengers movies because he doesn't carry anything,
Yeah. So overall, I'd say this was a good trailer. It did what a trailer's supposed to do.
Yeah. For sure.
It got me excited for the movie, gave me information as to what the movie is going to be about without giving me too much.
Yeah.
To where I don't need to see the movie anymore, which is a big problem nowadays.
Right, yeah. Okay, next I want to talk about Carrie Fisher. Originally, her brother had said that she had filmed some of her scenes for the third Star Wars movie of the new series, and that she would indeed be in it, but they would have to kind of rewrite some things to figure out how to accommodate the fact that she didn't film all her scenes. Well, now I just heard that Lucasfilm says she will not be in the third Star Wars movie. What do you think about that?
I had heard that she had finished filming all or most of her stuff for the second one. I didn't know she had any of it done for the third one.
That's what I originally heard, or that's what her brother claimed that she did. But
after she died, I think they came out and said it wouldn't affect the second movie.
Right, yeah.
They would have to rework some stuff. So I'm thinking she may end up like dying in the second movie at some point. Otherwise, how do you explain her missing in the third?
Unless they like say she had to go into hiding for some reason or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guessing she's probably going to end up dead though, just to kind of raise the stakes a little. And if it's going to be kind of like the old ones where they have the middle dark chapter, that would kind of fit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a bummer. I kind of was hoping that, we could get as much of her character in the third movie as possible, but,
I don't think, probably nothing is written in stone yet.
We'll see.
They're going to wait to see how people react to certain things. Nothing is ever finalized until it's out. And even though George Lucas isn't really involved anymore, stuff still wasn't finalized, even though it was out with him.
Right. Okay. So obviously, to keep in Star Wars, let's talk about Star Wars: The Last Jedi, which that trailer, I had heard that it was coming out this Friday, so I was ready for it. What'd you think?
They were both supposed to be teasers. I would say that the Thor trailer was closer to a traditional trailer than a teaser, and I would say that this one is definitely a teaser.
Yeah, it didn't give away too much, to me at least.
Almost anything. You get bits of information, but yeah, it was just to kind of get you pumped like, hey, in half a year you're going to see this movie.
One thing I noticed, to me, it seems more like, based on the trailer, which, like you said, who knows how the actual film will turn out, but it seems like it's a little more about Luke training Rey. So it's almost like that spiritual, like kind of reminds me of the Karate Kid, which is basically also, in Empire Strikes Back, Luke with Yoda, like all the meditation, all that stuff, and, concentrate and, whatever. It kind of reminds me of that where the previous movie, The Force Awakens, was a little more militaristic. This seems a little bit more about the spiritual journey, or that kind of thing happening. I mean, of course, there's going to be shooting and exploding everywhere too, because it's a Star Wars movie. But I feel like they're leaning a little more toward the spiritual aspect of her discovering the Force and this and that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looked like everybody was kind of guessing anyway that Luke was going to train her. You hear bits of his dialogue with her, like, go ahead and breathe. What do you see? And she describes the Force. So it sounds like he's teaching her about the Force.
Yeah.
And she talks about the light, the dark, and then the balance, which I think is where they're heading.
Okay.
Because this one's called The Last Jedi, and you hear Luke say it's time for the Jedi to end.
Okay. Yeah, that was one of my points I wanted to talk to you about. I thought the very same thing. That sounded like Luke to me saying that, which I thought was odd. When I talked to John about it this morning at work, he says he thinks that's Kylo Ren. I don't think it is. I think it's Luke.
I assume it's Luke. It could be Kylo Ren. I'd have to listen to it more carefully.
Yeah.
I mean, the most I've heard Mark Hamill talk has been in Joker voice over the past decade. Yeah. So what I think they're going for is that, and this is something kind of like Samuel L. Jackson's character was hinting at in the prequels, is that there needs to be a balance to the Force. It can't be all good. It can't be all bad. It's got to be balanced somewhere in the middle. And it seems like what's been happening is the Jedi wipe out the Sith and everything's good for a little bit, but then the Force starts leaning towards the dark side and the Sith come back, wipe out the Jedi, and it keeps going back and forth like that. And the only way to have peace is if there's some kind of balance between the two. And I think that's kind of like what they're going to be heading towards. I
know that in the Clone Wars, the CGI, or the I think it's called Rebels, but it's like, I think it's succeeds from the Clone Wars CGI animated cartoon show. I guess there is a such thing as gray Jedi in that series that they're pretty much split right down the middle. And I don't know if they're going to try to explore some of that for the movies.
Some of that, I can't remember which series it is. I haven't watched any of them, but some of the cartoon series I think are still supposed to be canon.
Well, yeah, I believe Rebels is one of them.
Okay, so
because I know that some of the ships that you see are technically from that series in Rogue One are from that cartoon series and stuff. So
okay, yeah, so it's totally possible then they could be going for a more gray version of the Force, not completely good, not completely bad, somewhere down the line.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, like, when they showed Finn in that, it looked like almost like not like an iron lung, but like a stasis type thing, like as if he's been really injured. I know he was technically injured at the end of Force Awakens, but I didn't think he was that severely injured that he would have to still be in that.
I think they were about to put him in. They were about to take him to Jabba the Hutt to repay his debt.
And did you notice that okay, they almost reminded me of pod racers. They showed those like ships with the red smoke they're putting out and they're flying really low to the ground. First of all, that reminded me of the pod racing scene a little bit. Just I don't know, something about a desert and how all those little ships or whatever flying so low to the ground. But you notice it looks like when you see, they show like, it looks almost like Imperial walkers in the distance.
I did notice the red. I thought that was a cool like little burst of color in that imagery, but I didn't pay that much attention to it to think that it looked like the pod racers.
It just struck me as looking kind of reminiscent to the pod racers from that. But anyway, I'm wondering, okay, what would be the advantage of having the smoke? Is that something to, when they get up to them, like it just will like kind of fog up the area so it makes them harder to be seen?
Was the smoke coming out of the ships, or was it like dust being kicked up from the desert?
I don't know. I'm assuming it was maybe something they were doing, but I don't know.
Yeah, they may have been laying some kind of smoke screen for something, or maybe it's just when the dust moves around in the air, wherever they
Could
are,
be.
it turns red.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was a pretty good teaser trailer. I mean, it was exactly that. It didn't tell you much of anything. I'm interested. I'm not like, peeing my pants. I think as I get closer to it, and at least, I mean, I don't want to watch all the trailers and all the trailer breakdowns where, people are speculating. I want to be a little bit surprised when I actually see the movie, but I'm intrigued. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it, but some people are just like losing their minds about it.
A lot of people put out like trailer reactions and just like they think they're supposed to act shocked and amazed.
Yeah, if I was to ever do that, it would just be this straight face the whole time. Probably, I will say when I watched the Force Awakens trailer for the first time, and like I thought it was pretty cool when you saw like the speeder was going by and you realized that was a crash Star Destroyer. And then when they showed like Vader's mask all like burnt and kind of melted, which by the way, that's another thing I wanted to say. I noticed both, the Force Awakens trailer to this. Now this trailer is like, a version of Vader's broken down mask. Like this one just looked like it was crumbled into pieces and there was a little bit of smoke coming out of it. Did you notice that?
Yeah. I definitely noticed that. Another thing I noticed too was the trailer actually starts off a lot in the same way that the first trailer for The Force Awakens opened, where it's just the shot is focused and you hear the music kind of building up, then it's the burst of sound and all of a sudden, like in the first one it was Finn's head popping up and and now in this one it's Rey's hand coming down and music popped,
which by the way I thought that looked like it was going to be a planet. It looked like you were looking like from like space through the stars onto the surface of a planet, and then it looked like it's once it like kind of zoomed a little closer, it's still like the surface of a planet, and then you see her hand, you realize it's just a rock. I just thought it was funny. yeah, she grew really big.
I'm excited. I'm not overly excited. I like Star Wars. I've never been a Star Wars, pardon the term, nut. A lot of people will go on and on about it, and I think they're good movies. They're fun for the most part. I mean, the prequels were kind of trashy, but they're fun, but I don't go crazy over them. They're not my favorite thing ever. I don't think a lot of people want to say Star Wars is the best movie ever made, and I don't know if I would agree.
No, of course
I don't
not,
know if there is a best movie ever made, but I don't know if I'd put Star Wars on my list.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's an influential movie. I know that a lot of people say that. Sometimes I do think it's given a little too much credit.
Yeah, I think that probably is part of what led to George Lucas being crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he's got kind of a big head, and really, I haven't seen all of his movies, but the most successful thing he did were those first 3 movies, and then after, I think he only directed the first one, right?
Correct. Yep. Irving Kershner did the second one, and I used to know the name of the third guy. I can't remember his name offhand.
Yeah, after that, every project he's done has been with somebody. He did Willow with Ron Howard. He did some Indiana Jones stuff with Steven Spielberg. He had a movie about World War II pilots that didn't do very well.
THX, was it 1138 or whatever it's called back in the day? That's
supposed to be pretty good. I've never seen it. I've never seen the other one with Ron Howard in it too, the American Graffiti.
I've seen that one once.
What'd you think of it?
It's okay. I mean, it's kind of like one of those, I mean, I only saw it once and it was a while ago, but to me, it's like one of those movies that's fine to watch the one time. It's not a movie I feel the need to revisit. And if I did, it would probably only be one other time. And then, but I mean, it's just literally like just watching these, teenagers in the 50s, one night. I think it's all takes place one night. It's all right. I mean,
I'll have to check it out sometime. But yeah, it's a good teaser. I'm sure people are getting excited for it.
Yeah, for sure.
It'd be nice to get some answers. There's so many theories floating around.
Right.
So yeah, we have a whole half a year to wait. before we find out a whole lot more.
For sure. Is there any other movie news or anything else lately that you wanted to mention?
Well, you said that soon you're going to be going to see King Kong, and that gets me excited because
I'm actually going to be seeing it here soon today. So
we'll have to have either that as part of an episode or
probably the next episode I can do my quick little thought on it. If you want or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
These episodes, like I said, I don't know how many of these are going to be coming out. I think it kind of all depends on how often some big movie news or some trailer comes out that we feel the need to cover. But this is probably not going to be, in every, between it's not going to happen between every episode. It's just as things drop, we'll try to get one of these in to cover it. And
we have right now our podcast goes up on Podomatic. It's available on iTunes, and we've also been doing stuff with Facebook and YouTube lately, and we're just trying to find ways to get out and reach more people. So I think our Facebook, our Facebook too, but our YouTube page is going to become a more useful tool for us here in the near future.
Eventually, what's going to happen is on December 9th, actually, is the last day it will be we'll be using Podomatic. I'll be shutting it down. And at this point, I don't have any intention on re-upping it with Podomatic or any other podcast host. So by that point, the only way you'll get to hear any episodes would be through YouTube. It's unfortunate because YouTube, you can't really listen to anything in the background while you do other things. That's kind of a bummer. Like there's a Podomatic app you can get for like Android people, if you or iTunes people. There's a Podomatic app you can get that can, if you want to listen to it that way. And then for obviously iPhone people, you can just listen in the podcast app, which is a default on the phone. But eventually YouTube will be the kind of the one and only way to hear episodes, and they are currently all up.
Yes, and that's just the current plan for now. Things may change.
You never know.
I am having a lot of fun doing this podcast, and I hope that we keep it going for a while.
Yeah, I mean that's the plan right now. And by the way, you can cut this out if you don't want it in the final thing. I'll let you do whatever you want with it.
Okay.
Just throw that out there real quick. But right now I don't know exactly what's going to happen. As December 9th approaches, things could totally change. We might decide to re-up with Podomatic or go to another podcasting host. I don't know. Or we might still drop it and just continue on with YouTube and keep pumping out episodes. I really don't know. That's kind of the thought that's been running around my head a little bit lately, but I don't know for sure.
It seems like our listener base has been growing too. So, I'd just like to take a second to thank everybody for listening.
Of course. Yep.
And if you're listening to us on YouTube right now, check the description. We're going to have links to our podcast, our Facebook, and all that stuff in there.
Yeah, pretty much. I have, as far as I know, unless I missed something, whether you're going to Podomatic, Facebook, iTunes, or YouTube, there's a link to go to every other every other site we're on. So feel free to drop us a line at any one of those places. I pretty much check it every day. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to hear. Tell us how terrible we are.
Yes, tell us what you want, what you really, really want.
Yeah, we can. You want to cover Spice Girls the movie? Sounds like a good one.
It's a possibility. We'll cover just about any movie. So go ahead and drop us a line.
Yeah. All right, Brandon. Well, I think that's about it for this little status report for this month. And
all right, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we will catch you later. Stay tuned.
All right, see you guys later.